Okay, boys and girls, I'm going to go ahead and show you your assignment for 906B in math. It's an Horry County Schools supplemental lesson. So you're going to go to your math course and you're going to scroll down. You're going to want to make sure that you're under semester 2. We're looking at module 9, so you'll open up module 9 and we're looking at 906B, which is dividing fractions and whole numbers. So you'll click on the blank page icon. That'll open up the lesson. The lesson is a Google slide presentation. You're going to go through this lesson, all pages of the lesson, dividing fractions and whole numbers. Make my screen a little bit smaller. So, you're going to go through all slides. It's going to go through examples of how to use the models, examples of how to use number lines. So make sure you go through all pages of this lesson. There's a write about it activity that you can practice with. Lots of practice opportunities. More practice. Like I said, there's lots of practice. Once you do the practice, you've got the answer as well so that you can double check your work. Things where you explain your thinking. And again, it's got the answers. Lots of videos for you to watch. More practice, more examples, walking you through step by step, and more practice. So it's a longer lesson, but it goes through step by step how to complete the the standard with lots and lots of practice and lots of examples and videos. So again, this is a longer lesson, but please know that it's going to walk you through everything that you need to know for the assignment. So I'm just going through the lesson here. You'll obviously go through it a lot slower. I'm just clicking through to get to our assignment piece. I'm just kind of showing you what the lesson looks like. Again, like I've said multiple times, lots of practice with answers, lots of showing you how to complete these assignments. So please make sure you go through this lesson carefully. The videos are also going to be very, very helpful when you're doing this assignment. So keep that in mind as you go through. Then you'll come to the lesson summary. After you go through this lesson, you're going to be able to divide a fraction by a whole number using models and equations. And you're also going to be able to divide a whole number by a fraction using models and equations. Then you'll come across your assignment. Okay, so you can click on these links to bring you to your assignment as well. Make sure you submit both worksheets when you've completed the work. So we'll go ahead and open up those. In order to open them, you can simply just click on the links right from the lesson, and I've just pulled up both of them. The first one here, you're taking your fractions and you're dividing them by whole number. So you'll notice that there's 18 problems here. You've got fractions and you're dividing them by whole numbers. Good thing is that within the lesson, it teaches you and shows you how to do this. It goes over many, as you could see, when I was clicking through the lessons, it goes over many examples to help you with this. So please make sure that you go through and you work on that lesson. You are completing all 18 of these where you're taking a fraction and you're dividing it by a whole number. The second page, you've got a worksheet where there's 16 problems and you're taking your whole number and you're dividing it by a fraction. So all of these problems here are where you're taking a whole number and dividing it by a fraction. I will go over a couple of these with you so that you have some examples, but again, the lesson will go through them as well. So I'm going to do 1 and 2 on this first worksheet. So this first worksheet that you have is where you're taking a fraction and you're dividing it by a whole number. In the lesson, you're going to learn that that first number, which in this case are both fractions, are going to stay the same. So 1/3, we're going to keep the same. And in the lesson, it shows you a little trick here. We're going to use the inversion of this problem. The inversion of this problem is where we take our we take our division symbol and we do the opposite. Well, the opposite of division is multiplication. So our first number, in this case it's a fraction, is going to stay the same, 1/3. Our division symbol, we're going to do the inversion or the opposite of division, which is multiplication. And then we're going to take this second number, in this case it's a whole number, 6, and we're going to turn it into a fraction. Now 6 wholes as a fraction, we're simply going to put a 1 underneath it. So I'm going to draw my fraction bar and I'm going to put a 1. So I've got 6/1, and that's a little hard to read. Let's go back and there we go. 6/1. Now, before I use this 6/1, we need to use the inversion or the opposite of 6/1, which would be 1/6. So we're actually going to flip this second number. We're going to flip this fraction. We made it into a fraction by putting a 1 underneath that whole number, 6. But now we're going to flip it. So 6/1 is going to become 1/6. Okay? And now we've got the inversion of that division problem, 1/3 times 1/6. And we're going to multiply. And simply by doing that, we're going to multiply across. When you're multiplying multiplication, or when you're multiplying fractions, you multiply across. 1 times 1 is 1, and 3 times 6 is 18. So that first answer is 1/18. Pretty simple. You're going to follow those exact same steps for number 2. I'm going to rewrite the problem over here so we have a little bit more room. 1/4 divided by 8. All right, so our first number is going to stay the same. 1/4 remains a fraction, 1/4. Your division symbol is going to change. It's going to be the inversion, which is multiplication. Division changes to multiplication. Your second number, 8, which is a whole number, we need to write as a fraction. In order to do that, 8 wholes as a fraction is 8/1. And now we're going to flip that fraction. 8/1 is going to become 1/8, 1/8. And we're going to multiply now. 1/4 times 1/8, multiply across. 1 times 1 is 1. 4 times 8 is 32. So 1/4 divided by 8 is 1/32. So that is number 1 and number 2 from that first worksheet where you're taking your fractions and you're dividing them by whole numbers. Okay, that worksheet right here. I just did 1 and 2. Your second worksheet is the opposite, where you're taking whole numbers and you're dividing them by fractions. I'll do a couple examples here for you from this worksheet. We'll do 1 and 2. It's the same process, boys and girls, but now our numbers are just a little different. So we've got 1 divided by 3/10. Your first number is going to stay the same, 1. Your division symbol is going to change to the inversion, which is multiplication, which just means opposite. And 3/10, which is a fraction, we're going to flip it. So you always flip your second number. In this case, it's a fraction, so we don't have to change it other than flipping it. So 10/3. Now, 1 times 10/3, yes, is, well, 10/3 times 1 is going to be 10/3 because anything times 1 is itself. But if we needed to do that math out, we need to take our whole number and turn it into a fraction. 1 whole as a fraction is going to be 1/1. Anything over 1 is equal to that whole. So 1/1 is equal to 1 whole. Now I can multiply across. 1 times 10 is 10. 1 times 3 is 3. We're left with 10 over 3. So 10 thirds. Feel free to keep your answer as improper fractions for this assignment. That's totally fine with me. You may also do the division and find the mixed number. Remember to do that. You take your improper fraction, 10 over 3, and you divide. That fraction bar means division. 3 goes into 9 3 times. 3 times 3 is 9. Now we're just doing simple division. We subtract, we get 1. 1 is our remainder. To make it a fraction, we drive it up over our divisor, and we get 3 and 1/3. So 10 over 3 is equal to 3 and 1/3. All right, and then our last problem, 6 divided by 1/2. Okay, we're going to follow the same exact steps. 6 divided by 1/2. Well, your 6 wholes is going to stay the same. We are going to make it a fraction just like we made our 1 over 1 a fraction. So in order to make 6 wholes a fraction, we put a 1 underneath it. 6 over 1 is the same as 6 wholes. Our division symbol is going to flip to a multiplication symbol. We do the opposite. And then 1/2, we need to flip that fraction. So 1 over 2 is going to flip to 2 over 1. And we're going to multiply across. 6 times 2 is 12. And 1 times 1 is 1. We get 12 over 1, which is 12. 12 divided by 1 is 12. And now 6 divided by 1/2 is equal to 12. So you're following the same type of steps, but we're just doing whole numbers divided by fractions with this worksheet. Okay, so that's number 1 and 2 for that second worksheet. Okay, I'm going to close this out. When you're done with both of these assignments, remember you're doing both worksheets. Okay, you're going to go back to Buzz. You're going to go to this next activity arrow. It'll take you to your assignment. Make this a little bit bigger. And on your screen, you're going to scroll down, and on your submission here, you'll have a blue plus button where you're going to attach both worksheets, worksheet 1 and worksheet 2. If you only submit one worksheet, you're not going to get a good grade. So make sure you submit both of your worksheets. And again, you'll have a blue plus button where you can click on that and attach your work. Let me know if you have any questions.